I'll be teaching you all today, and it consists of first unit consists of nature, scope, and importance of public office, in which we will be discussing the definition of public office administration and understanding its nature, scope, and significance. In the unit 2, its comparison between public and private offices, in which we will be discussing the key differences between public and private offices and similarities in functions and operations. Meaning of public office administration. Lately, studying administrative aspects of public office in developing countries has become important. One main reason is because of the size and complexities in government activities. We can think of government without private office but not a public office. Then, what is public office? To understand its meaning, let's first understand the concept of office, then public office, and finally public office administration. Office simply means a place of work. So, office simply means a place of work. But that doesn't mean all the office work takes place in the office only. So, office work can be done outside the office premises and hours and by the people who don't belong to the office as well. So, office employees even work at their homes or even outside the office hours. In the same way, the work which is not related to the office can also take place in office. So, basically, offices are places where only particular type of work is done. We can also say office is a place where paper or information related work is done. We can observe this almost in any office. As we enter any office, we see there are people sitting behind the tables with so many papers. And obviously, those papers are not empty, right? There would be a lot of information in those papers. So, paper is an important medium, instrument, or tool of work. And every office deals with some or the other information related work. Scope of public office administration. Most of the office operations are carried through the medium of paper. But with rapid advances in science and technology, several of the office functions are increasingly being carried through non paper media. Paper is used in offices for many functions like receiving, recording, storing, and conveying information. Paper is a primary tool in modern offices, especially in developing countries. But at the same time, we can't say just only paperwork is done at the office. With growth in science and technology, now many office functions are carried through non paper media, such as videos, cassettes, CDs, ROMs, PDFs, databases, etc. And in fact, paper is now becoming the secondary medium for office transactions. And so many other offices are becoming paperless for various reasons, such as to save money, for environment, and to simply share information easily and saving space, etc. Paperless offices are emerging with automation and technology. Automation means replacing the work done by humans with technology. It has its own advantages as well as disadvantages, which we will be discussing later, and historical perspective. In ancient times, there were no paper or non paper sources. Hence, they used tools such as stones, metal inscriptions, palm leaves, leather materials, etc., for sharing information. Office as a center of information services. Another way to view office is as a center of information services. In other words, office is a place which is engaged in rendering variety of information services. There are mainly six types of information services: receiving information, recording information, processing information, preserving information, supplying information, and destroying information. These activities do not necessarily follow same order. Some of them may take place simultaneously. Now let's discuss these six types of services individually. Receiving of information. Office receives information from different sources and in many forms through diverse media. The information received can be from internal sources such as from the members within the office organization. And such internal communication of information received from within the organization is more informal and verbal than written. Or it may be from external sources which are from outside of the office, such as information can be formal or informal. Information may be written, verbal, or symbolic. And information can also be received through auditory, visual, or audio visual means. Auditory information means oral communications through telephone or radio, and visual information includes written communications, pictures, etc. Television viewing, meetings, and conferences are audio visual communications. Importance of receiving information. Receiving of information in appropriate form, in adequate quantity, and in the right quality is important for proper functioning of the office. An office which neglects this aspect may become dead and insensitive to internal environment. However, organizations which are fairly large and handle high volume of information, they make a separate section within the office, and it includes inward section and inward outward sections. Inward section basically only receives information, whereas inward outward sections it receives as well as supplies information. Recording information. There are mainly three types of records: script records, voice records, and audiovisual records. Script records are the traditionally written records with a very long history. And voice records, these are audio recordings which are widely used in technologically advanced countries. And audiovisual records, they are the most recent means of information storage. These two media are generally used in offices where they are technologically advanced, and much of the office work in India takes place on paper only. Some of this information needs to be stored for a really long time, and hence, good quality medium is important to store data for a long time. Clerical work in offices. Office work is also defined as clerical work. As clerical work consists of works of various functionaries like typists, stenographers, accountants, record keepers, receptionists, and data entry operators. Hence, we can say that office work is a combination of paperwork, information services, and clerical activities. Processing information. All the information which we receive may not be in a readily usable form, so it needs some modifications and changes. Information processing refers to conversion of information from unusable or not so usable forms to a more usable or usable forms. Information processing becomes necessary under the following circumstances. When there is a lot of information and such information needs to be reduced by eliminating unnecessary, excessive, and duplicate information. When the interconnections between different pieces of information are to be established for decision making. Methods of processing. Processing can be done manually or electronically. Manual processing is a traditional approach in which processing is done by humans and it is more prone to errors and it is a lot slower. Whereas electronic processing is quick, efficient, and error free way of processing. As in manual processing, humans are tend to do mistakes and we can avoid that in electronic processing. But it is expensive due to advanced equipment but is superior in quality. Hybrid processing is a blend of both manual and electronic processing. It combines the benefits of both the approaches. Storage of information or preserving information. All the efforts we put to gather and process data will be useless if we don't store it properly. Hence, preservation is vital. It's basically useless to record all the data if we don't store it properly. Hence, office papers, documents, cassettes, tapes, videotapes, CD-ROMs, and digital files, they need to be stored properly. Information needs to be stored to prevent information from falling into wrong hands or to prevent information from getting damaged by environmental effects such as damage caused by heat, moisture, or other natural elements. It is also important to prevent information from its confidentiality to secure the important and private information. Methods of effective storage. We can store information using high quality materials for long term preservation. The information preservation and security could be done more effectively if the information is classified on the basis of duration for which it has been preserved. For instance, the cabinet meetings are generally available for open usage at least for a period of 15 years, and using technology to ensure security through passwords and various other controls. Supply of information. Supply of information is another important office function. This involves the dimensions of time, adequacy, and quality. The information should be supplied on time, and any delay in the information supply leads to delay in decision making. Therefore, the office should make adequate arrangements for timely supply of information. It is not enough if the information is supplied on time. It has to be made available in adequate quantity as well as quality. The information supplied should neither be too long nor too little for the purpose for which it is supplied. Too little information can lead to incomplete decision, whereas too much information can be overwhelmingly stressful for decision makers with excessive data. The quality of information supplied largely determines the quality of decision making. The qualitative dimension includes aspects like relevance, which means information must align with the purpose of the decision makers, and purposiveness, which means data should directly support the decision making process, and the clarity. Information must be clear and easy to understand and interpret. And lastly, proper organization and classification, which is very important for quick access of data. In other words, the information should be relevant and easy to understand and preserve till it is needed. In case of lack of these qualitative dimensions, it can result in red tapeism, which means delay of work. Destruction of information or destroying information. Destroying of information is the final step in information services. Information preserved should be meant for only a particular period of time. Though we can't predict an exact time for how long information must be stored, but it isn't necessary to keep all the data forever. Hence, it is better to destroy information after a certain period of time. So, why should we destroy information? Any information becomes outdated after some point of time and it becomes irrelevant. Accumulation of such information without proper and timely process of destroyal would lead to shortage of office space and unnecessary maintenance costs. At the same time, the maintenance of such information results in a disadvantage to the organization and confusion in tracing out relevant records. Methods of destruction. Information may be destroyed in many different ways. For paper records, we can physically shred the documents by tearing them up or by using a shredder, which cuts paper into pieces. Information on paper can also be burned down or sold. However, we can't sell all the information, but few can be sold. Information that can't be sold, which consists of sensitive or confidential data, such information should be burned down safely to prevent the misuse. And non sensitive papers can be sold for monetary value, for example, old answer sheets of students at the universities. And in case of digital records, we can simplify erase the data. Simply erase the data. It is quick and cost effective methods for tapes, videos, and microfilms. Films. Classification of office functions. All the above functions we discussed till now, such as receiving, processing, storing, supplying, and destroying information, they are primary functions. Secondary functions occur in the process of carrying primary functions. Secondary functions include planning, organizing, controlling of the office, office routines, procurement of office, stationery, furniture, equipment, staffing functions, and protection of office assets. It also includes the maintaining of effective public relations. Administration of public office. The Institute of Public Administrative Management in England defines office management as the branch of management which is concerned with services of obtaining, recording, and analyzing information, of planning and communicating, by means of which management of a business safeguards its assets, promotes its affairs, and achieves its objectives. From this definition, we can understand that the office management or administration is a branch in the broad field of management or administration. Office management is a narrow field under the broad field of management. It is a branch of administration concerned with planning, communicating, and rendering of information services. And its job is to safeguard the assets, promote the affairs, and achieve the objectives of the organization of which the office is a part. Hence, we can say that the office administration is concerned with planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling of office activities. Though it is difficult to give a universally valid list of office activities, a few may be identified as office activities. They are inwarding, outwarding, mailing, filing, forms control, drafting, accounting, auditing, office layout, communication services. We will be discussing these in detail in later units. Office administration as a process involves post-job activities such as planning, organizing, staffing, direction, coordination, reporting, and budgeting. Administration of public office. As a group, the office administration consists of office manager, office administrator, the chief clerk, manager of office services, section officer, registrar, etc. Some of the office related tasks may even be performed by non administrators like engineers, collectors, architects, etc. In the same way, office administrators may also perform non administrative functions. Qualities of office administrator: leadership qualities of directing, guiding, inspiring, and motivating employees, and intelligence, stability, listening capacity, ability to delegate, vision, understanding, education, analytical ability, and good sense of humor are necessary for a good office administrator. Importance of office administration. Office is the information center and data bank of an organization. The office is like the brain of the organization where all important data and information are kept. This information helps the government plan, make decisions, and predict future actions. If the office doesn't manage this information well, the entire organization can struggle with its planning and decision making processes. Office is the most important channel of communication in the organization. In any organization, the office is the main place where information is shared, whether it's instructions from top management going down to the employees or the feedback which is going from employees to the management. It all passes through the office. Without this clear communication channel, an organization can become disorganized and lose direction. Office is the institutional device meant for purpose of securing coordination. The office helps different parts of the organization work together smoothly. It ensures that information flows between departments, teams, and people. So everyone is on the same page. By providing this connection, the office makes sure that no one is left out and that tasks are aligned with the organization's goals. Office facilitates managerial control. The office plays a key role in controlling and guiding employees' work. This includes setting clear goals, measuring how well employees are doing, and correcting them if there are any mistakes. Without an office to manage these activities, it would be difficult for a company or office to meet its goals and achieve success. Office takes care of office personnel. The office is also responsible for looking after the employees in many ways. This includes helping with the hiring process, making sure employees get paid on time, and addressing their needs or problems. If these employee related tasks aren't handled properly, it can lead to frustration and affect the overall success of the organization. Office also works as a link between the government and the people or public. Public offices are where people interact with the government. How these offices run, how these offices run affects how the public views the government. If an office is efficient, helpful, and well managed, it creates a positive image of the government. But if an office is disorganized or unhelpful, it can lead to frustration and a poor public image. Therefore, office plays a key role in shaping how people perceive government's effectiveness. Differences between public offices and private offices. Public administration. This is a system of managing government policies and services. It has existed from a very long time and is common in all the countries. But it looks different in each nation depending on the economic, social, and cultural factors. The study of public administration is about understanding how governments deliver services and prepare workers for public service jobs. Public administration as a specific field, it began in ancient texts of Kautilya's Arthashastra. Woodrow Wilson's essay, The Study of Public Administration in the Political Science Quarterly, in 1887, it laid the foundation for a separate, independent, and systematic study of public administration. He emphasized the importance in implementing government policies. Public office is the visible entity of public administration. All government departments or public organizations have public offices. These offices exist to help government run smoothly and interact with citizens. They are different from businesses which focus on profit. Private administration. This refers to the management of private businesses which are aiming generally for profit. While public and private administration share some similarities such as organization and management, they differ significantly in key areas. Public administration focuses on service to the public under which operates under laws and is accountable to the public. Whereas private administration, it is about making profits and is not accountable to the public. Key features of public administration. Accountability, impartiality, and public service are the key features of public administration. So, accountability means public administrators must answer to the public. They are responsible to the public and they follow legal procedures. Impartiality means everyone is treated fairly, equally, without any kind of bias. And public service. The goal is to serve public, not make money. Public service is like the ultimate aim of the public administration. Fourth Industrial Revolution Administration. Technology is technology is rapidly changing both public and private administration. Automation using technology to do tasks that used to generally require humans. So automation is the central to all these changes. It increases efficiency, reduces human errors, and creates new types of jobs while eliminating the older ones. Impact of automation on office administration. The rise of automation and digitization is changing. It is changing how offices are operating. Tasks that were once done manually or are now automated, improving the speed of services, but it is also reducing some traditional jobs. Understanding these changes is crucial for students of office administration. So, what is an office? An office is a place where employees work to support an organization's goals. It can be a room or a specific area, and it can also refer to position within the organization like an office holder. Offices can range from small spaces like desk in a small business to entire buildings dedicated to one organization. In modern times, an office is mostly where white collar workers do their tasks. Importance of an office. Offices are crucial because they are where administrative work happens. People often judge an organization based on the office they encounter and the employees they interact with. Various types of offices include government offices like collector's office or municipal office, and private sector offices like company office or college office. Understanding the difference between public and private offices is important for those studying public administration. Evolution of offices. The idea of an office has changed over time. In the ancient history, offices were often located in the places like royal palaces or temples. During the Middle Ages, offices were placed where government documents were created and stored. And in the 18th century, as organizations grew, the first purpose built office spaces were created. The Industrial Revolution required more office spaces for clerks working in banks, railways, and insurance companies. The design of the offices also changed over time, including the introduction to the modern efficiency desk in 1915, and later the cubicle system in the 20th century to balance privacy and efficiency. Functions of an office. The main purpose of an office is to support work activities such as reading, writing, and computer work. Offices have different types of spaces to support various activities, such as cubicles for individual work, meeting rooms for group discussions, and some areas for tasks like photocopying or filing. Some offices also have kitchen spaces for employees to make lunch. The layout of an office can depend on the company's needs and culture. Requirements of an office. While offices can't technically be set up in almost any building, there are certain requirements for modern office. These can include legal requirements like ensuring proper lighting, safety, and accessibility. Technical requirements such as networking capabilities for computers, IT infrastructure, and equipment. Security and flexibility are also important factors. Because of these needs, special office buildings, also known as office blocks or business centers, are designed. These buildings are equipped with spaces for different companies, including reception areas, meeting rooms, open plan offices, and common areas like kitchens and break rooms. Types of offices. There are various types of offices. Basically, there are two types, that is, public offices and private offices. Public office is a position or occupation established by law or by the act of a government body. The purpose of exercising the authority of government in the service of public. The private office is an enterprise or a business which are owned by private individuals. They are controlled and operated by private individuals or private entities. Further to these two types, both public and private offices can be of five different types. They are home offices, virtual offices, co working spaces, rental, and leased offices. Home office. For any new organization, a home office is an easiest and cheapest way to start and operate an organization business. Here, the executive turns his or her home, apartment, or rooms, and even garage into an office. The space might be limited and cramped and with lot of distractions from roommates or family members. But for those who just started out the new organization and still seeking funds from the government, this is the most practical way to start working on the new establishments. Even some well-known global companies such as Apple, Facebook, and Alibaba, they began with their home offices only. Home offices work as parallel offices for many higher level government officials like district collectors, chief ministers, and vice chancellors. These offices are known as camp offices. Virtual office. A virtual office is a part of the flexible workspace industry that provides organizations with any combination of services, space, and technology, with those organizations bearing the capital expenses of owning a traditional office. Users generally pay a contract fee for these services, which may be offered as packages or membership subscriptions. The concept is popular in the private sector with companies of all sizes, including self employed entrepreneurs. One of the primary advantages of virtual office is the flexibility it offers for employees and freelancers to work from a satellite office, home office, remote location, or even on the go with a mobile device. Virtual office providers may also include digital capital such as cloud storage, web hosting, email, and other web based applications. Co working spaces. The term co working spaces applies to sharing workspace with workers or business owners and startups with various backgrounds and companies. One of the advantages of co working spaces is the flexible way of working, which means one can go there anytime and work. One can also get to meet new people and network with these startups and business owners and learn about their experiences. Rental offices. When one decides to have own physical office, one can choose to rent a large space or event or unit where one can work, operate, or manufacture products and services. Rental offices are often on a monthly basis to the landlord, depending on the location and size. Rental offices can be more expensive compared to other types of offices. And the benefits of rental offices include privacy, security, and convenience of having an office that one can truly call their own. Leased offices. On the other hand, leased offices come with a fixed term, usually like 1 year or 5 years contract with a landlord or company owning the unit or building. The contract in leased offices compared to rental offices is more fixed and binding. Some municipalities and municipal corporations in India, they offer their buildings to government and private organizations for carrying out their office or business activities. Features of public office. A public office is part of the government and is funded by public money, such as taxes. It is created by the constitution or a law passed by the government. Example, the president, prime minister, chief justice, and district collector. They hold public offices. Main features of public office. Uh, Legal authority. The office gets its power from law or government rules, and they have a fixed term, such as like 5 years for the president. And government functions. The office holder performs official government duties, and they have defined powers. The responsibilities and powers are written in law. And independent work. The office holder follows laws, not orders from a private individual, and they are permanent in nature. The position usually exists for a long time, even if office holders change. Differences between public offices and private offices. Size, money, and complexity. Public offices are often larger and they are more complex and more financial resources, but they need more financial resources, but they have rigid structures. Private offices operate with efficiency and flexibility. Measures of success. Public sector has less clear measures of success, whereas private sector it is more profit driven and it has measurable outcomes. Employee motivation. Public sector focuses on service, stability, and power, whereas private sector they focus more on higher earnings and skill development. In India, government jobs preferred for prestige and stability. Performance management. Public sector. Public sector has a difficult. It is difficult to reward excellence or address poor performance. Whereas in private sector, performance-based incentives exist and they are also accountable. Risk taking and innovation. In public sector, there's low personal gains for risk taking and high criticism for failure. Whereas in private sector, it encourages innovation for competitive advantage. Competition and monopoly. Public sector legislated monopoly, whereas private sector it has market driven competition. Adaptability and change. Private sector must evolve and adapt constantly, whereas public sector it's often restricted by laws and policies. Authority and responsibility. Public sector has asymmetric authority and responsibility, whereas private sector has balanced authority and responsibility. Clarity of authority. Public sector has some heavily regulated authority, whereas private sector has a clear hierarchy and decision making power. Goal setting. Private sector has very clear and well defined goals, whereas public sector it often has vague or conflicting goals. Leadership turnover. Public sector, there's frequent leadership changes. Example, cabinet secretaries and chief secretaries, they keep changing. They don't stay there forever. And in private sector, stability is leadership unless a hostile takes over. Experience and expertise. In public sector, leaders often have less expertise in subject matters, whereas in private sector, employees gain deep domain knowledge over time. And regulatory controls. Public sector has numerous checks and controls, whereas private sector is free. It is free from restrictions and it has more flexibility. Whistleblowers and transparency. Public sector it has more protection for whistleblowers, whereas private sector it is limited. They don't encourage for whistleblowing. And speed and efficiency. There's a slow decision making process in public sector, whereas the action is faster with a sense of urgency in private sector. Differences between public offices. These are some features. Features of public, features of private offices, and features of public offices. The chief motive is private gain in private offices, whereas the chief motive is public service for public good in public offices. And private offices, they are mainly found in industrial or business organizations. And public offices are mainly found in service or developmental concerns and business concerns. And private offices are subjected to limited rules and regulations, whereas public offices they have heavy regulations and they are subject to extensive and detailed rules. Private offices they are subject to professional control, whereas public offices they are subject to political control. And private offices are smaller in size, whereas public offices are bigger in size, as their scope is really vast compared to private offices. And private offices have limited public contacts, whereas public offices have extensive public contacts. And there are very few changes in personnel in private offices, whereas in public offices, there are frequent changes. Private offices are accountable to management of executive. Private offices are accountable to management executives, whereas public offices they are accountable to the people. Private offices carry out works relating to the like groups, whereas public offices it has universalistic groups like government institutions. Private offices they generally have homogeneous clientele, whereas public offices have heterogeneous clientele. And private offices are relatively stable. They have stable personal composition, whereas offices have fluid personal composition. And Private offices have single criterion efficiency, whereas public offices have multiple criteria. They don't focus only on a particular issue. They have so many issues to focus on. So there are multiple criteria. In private offices, the competition is imminent, whereas in public offices, monopoly is imminent. And private offices, it's under proximate control of management. They are under proximate control, whereas public offices they are under remote control. And private offices they are more exclusive. They have more exclusive rules and regulations, whereas public offices they have more inclusive rules and regulations. Public offices and private offices are not all the same. They vary depending on factors like political systems, like socialist, capitalist, or mixed economy, and the type of organization they belong to, such as industrial or service or commercial. The size and complexity of organization also influences how an office operates. Despite these differences, all offices, whether public or private, share some common features. Some people believe that differences between public and private offices are more about how much they differ rather than being completely different types. So, thank you all. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Okay, then, thank you.